Alright, hello and welcome everyone to another cast in Alchemy League Season 8. I believe this is my third cast of Alchemy League's 8th season so far. Looks like we're doing pretty well here. The cast is a little bit later in the day on Sunday. In fact, it's a lot later in the day on Sunday than originally planned. Sorry about that, guys. I had some other things going on this morning, but I am able to make it now, so probably most of you will not be able to join the live event, but that's okay. I mean, it's on YouTube. The video on demand will live on in perpetuity, and you can watch it at your own convenience. And I'll try to sit here as I'm... Well, I mean, I'll definitely sit here, but what I mean is that while I'm sitting here describing what I see in this Age of Empires 2 custom settings, I would more so call it, type tournament. I mean, I guess technically we have custom maps, but they're not, they're just variations on existing contests that add in some new features. But what I was going to say is, while I'm doing that, I will try and think of the things that the Otter One and Cookie Pirate and Hider and Jasuki and Crazy Joe might say, and any others that come, but I just haven't mentioned right now. I'll try to think of the things that they would say and then respond to it as though they were saying it. So I will do my best, essentially, to commentate as though they were here participating in the live stream, and that should make it a little bit more interesting. But I was going to say that, so we kind of have a custom map tournament, but it's not exactly a custom map. It's variations. For these custom maps provide variations on a theme, and the theme is A Million Ways to Die in the Middle Ages. So I will explain that theme in a little bit greater detail, but just bear that in mind as we introduce the players and talk about who's going to be playing today. And I always try to do it, on 4 different maps, 2 sets, each set play all 2. So we got 4 games for you today. In the first game is going to be our Round Wild, where they just bring a home map, any map that they want from the list. One person, they play one and then they play the other, and they take turns. Pretty simple. And then the other one they do have a map of the round, and then they have a discard system where they take turns getting rid of maps until only one remains, and that's what they play on. So the first set that we're going to look at today is from the Round Wild, and it is Chipmunk versus Nope 1585. So these guys are upper 1300, so in theory it should be a pretty close matchup. Chipmunk is from Argentina, and Nope 1585 is from India. Nope has been with us, I think, since Alchemy League Season 3. And Chipmunk has been with us since Alchemy League Season 6, I believe. So both of these guys are experienced players, but Nope has an experience advantage over Chipmunk. We will see if it helps him out here. And the second that we're going to spectate is going to be Shixel versus Von Dutch. These guys are both from the Old School clan. Old School's been very supportive of Alchemy League throughout our history, especially Shixo. We've known him for a long time. He's been with us since Season 2. He took Season 7 off, but he's back now. Shixo, very good player, right? 2.2k easily, 2.3k even. Sometimes even upper 2.3Ks, if he's having a good day. But, these are kind of crazy settings too, and Shixo's got an adventuresome spirit, so we really appreciate his support here, even if the game mode is a little bit different from what he's used to excelling at. Von Dutch, similar story, approximately a 2K player. And it's kind of interesting to see what the high-level players make of these maps. It seems like they're able to close out games a little bit faster than the low elo, which makes sense, because that's how it is in general, even without any changes to win conditions or anything like that, which is, I think, what we want to talk about second. But the final thing that we're going to go over is we're just going to go over the Civ draft between Chipmunk and Nope 1585. The way that this civilization draft works is the admin randomly bans 5 civilizations at the start, and then they each globally ban 2 civilizations apiece, and then they pick 3, and then they snipe 1 from each other, and then they pick 1 more. So the options for this Round Wild are Teutons, Spanish, and the Khmers for Chipmunk. And then Nope has the options of Ethiopian, Bulgarian, and Mayans. And I think Chipmunk has the better civilization draft here. But Nope is a philosopher of maps, and he may have a good plan. Alright, so having introduced kind of the format, having introduced the players, having introduced Chipmunk and Nope's civilization draft, we will spectate their game, the first game here. So, Chipmunk versus Nope. Let's change the overlay, and then I will talk a little bit more about the win conditions here. So you can tell right off the bat this is King of the Hill, right? There's a monument here. Single town center. This is a continental style map. It has the rule changes that are applied. You start with a petard. So be careful not to accidentally click that petard onto the deer. Otherwise you will have some singed venison. So, oh, you see this is a king running around. So you see a king running around. So there's a lot of stuff going on. It's King of the Hill, Regicide. What else? Well, there's a fortified tower here. And the fortified tower is surrounded by a couple of layers of palisade wall. The health on the fortified tower is random. And you may ask, what is the significance of this fortified tower? Well, if you lose the fortified tower, you lose. And you'll always start with a fortified tower, 2 sets of walls, the outer of which is random between fortified palisade, palisade, stone wall, and fortified wall. And then you'll also get a starting barracks and a starting house for free. So that's why it's called A Million Ways to Die in the Middle Ages, because it's played on sudden death. So if you lose your town center, you die. If you lose your king, you die. If you fail to control the monument for, well, until the timer counts down, you die. If you lose your fortified tower, you die. If your opponent captures all the relics until the timer runs out, you die. If your opponent builds a wonder, we actually haven't seen the wonder yet, and that timer runs out, you also die. So not quite a million ways to die in the Middle Ages, but you guys get the idea, right? There's more win conditions, and you know, can these win conditions, can they all be applied to Age of Empires? Is it still Age of Empires at that point, or is it something a little bit different? Do we need a little bit of help? Certainly, with a petard, you have a chance of busting your way in here and maybe charging down the tower. And we've seen people do that villager charge of the tower. So I don't know. We might have to make some modifications, but the games have been pretty entertaining so far. They've been pretty chaotic and they've been pretty quick. So who knows how long we'll be here for. Let's talk about what these players are doing now. So we got Nope playing as the Grey Burgundians, and we have Chipmunk playing as the Teal Spanish. The Spanish are, of course, known for being an excellent unique unit civilization. Unique unit, you know, castle drop into unique unit has been quite popular. Because people like to go fast castle and they like to build their castle on their opponent's tower. That's a pretty effective way of killing the tower, but it's also kind of risky at the same time too, because if you go fast castle but your opponent goes feudal age pressure, then your opponent can just kill you right before you're able to get out and do map control. We see Chipmunk pushing the deer in with his king. Let us see if we can generate some more information. Yeah, there we go. So we kind of have their production queue lined up, and then let's click on, oops. There we go. There we go. All right, so we got all the information available. If the Otter one were here, he would be getting after me about that. He would be like, Tech, you got to make sure you click on all these different things so that we can see the maximum amount of information as it comes in. Unfortunately, my PC is just too old for Capture Age. Just doesn't do it. Capture Age is too resource demanding. So we have to use the standard recorded game viewer, and that's all right with me. So the king is an excellent scout, right? We actually have seen people lose to kings. But, you know, the king by himself is not really much, or lose because they lost their king. But generally what it is people like to scout with their kings early on in the game. The king has decent line of sight. He's decently fast. And he has a decent amount of health, too. So he's a good scout. But there is a danger in scouting with the king. So Chipmunk is here. He wants to find the tower, right? He knows his target. He's Spanish. He wants to come over here, and he wants to drop a castle on this tower, right? So he wants to explore it all out and everything. Find everything, make sure he knows exactly what's going on over here. Okay, so, but anyway, like I was saying, the king, if you're going to lose because you lost your king, chances are that, that happens early on. There's not really king snipes in this, because it's much easier to snipe the tower. It's much easier to snipe your opponent's town center, but the town center and the tower cannot be moved, so that's why they're a vulnerable target here. Now, oh no, Chipmunk on his way with the Spanish villagers, and fooling me. I thought he was going to go for fast castle, but here Chipmunk is, and he's gonna, what's he doing? Oh, he's gonna tower rush. He's gonna tower rush Nope's tower. So Nope is on his way here, but it looks like he's gonna lose his villager to a wolf, which is very unfortunate. Nope. Not reacting. Oh no. Nope. Nope. No. So Chipmunk is building 2 towers, like the Lord of the Rings, and that's going to help him get bonus attack against Nope's tower. And it's been kind of interesting to see the different interpretations. Some people think that the tower rush is the best strategy to use. Alright, here we go. So Nope sending the town to help reinforce it. He deletes the wall segments in back so that he can more easily get in to perform the repair, but he may not have noticed in time. So Chipmunk with a lightning fast feudal age, and Nope, it could have been okay if Nope hadn't lost the villager to this wolf. But Nope realizing too late, and Chipmunk able to destroy this tower with his own 2 towers, thereby defeating Nope. This man-at-arms rush that Nope had prepared is of no avail. And Chipmunk takes the first game. So that's what I mean when I say they're pretty fast. So you and I were looking at this, and I was thinking, I don't know what you were thinking, but I was thinking, I bet that Chipmunk is going to go fast castle and try to drop a castle on the tower. But instead, Chipmunk went fast feudal. He went fast feudal, and he double tower rushed. Yeah, you got to pick up some stone to do that. And to be fair, Nope didn't really scout Chipmunk at all. Nope didn't see that Chipmunk was on the stone early on. Let's see. Yeah, Nope did not scout Chipmunk at all, so he had no clue that this was happening. Well, that's kind of his own fault then. I guess he used his king to greedily push in deer, and Chipmunk punished it. Chipmunk punished it. So that's why I say a million ways to die in the Middle Ages. It can really catch people off guard. Let's take a look at the statistics, but I'm pretty sure it's going to be pretty simple. Yeah, so Chipmunk, no kills, no deaths, 1 building raised, no buildings lost, largest army of 1. Nope made 4 militia, and he had his petard, and then lost a single building, but it was the building that he needed to keep alive. It was the tower. So now let's check out game 2. The Teutons versus the Ethiopians. Okay, so this is played on Oasis. It looks like Chipmunk is playing as a different tower rushing civilization, the Teutons, and they're good because they can fit twice as many villagers in their towers as other civilizations. And Nope is playing as the Gray Ethiopian. So hopefully Nope is now wise to Chipmunk. He sees that Chipmunk, and Nope is pretty good, right? He's upper 1300s. So Nope should be able, so he's better than I am. Theoretically, Nope is better at this game than I am. So Nope should be able to see that Chipmunk has picked a tower rushing civilization, and he should make moves to counter it. I would recommend maybe Nope goes quickly up to the feudal age. Maybe he could go fast feudal into Stonewall, and he could kind of wall this off. Or he could go fast feudal into like a single archery range, like single range archers. Just to keep his tower alive, make sure that Chipmunk doesn't come in and try to tower rush it or village or shank it down. And these towers are more vulnerable this time because the towers have 2 layers of regular palisade walls instead of a fortified palisade. So it's easier to crack open that nut. Let me see if I can click on the fortified tower. Oh, it's under Chipmunk's point of view. No wonder I can't click on it. So we're going to come over here to Nope's point of view. And we'll see if we can click on the tower. Okay, there it is. 12, 16. So that's the amount of health that the tower has in it. So I think it's about the same as last time. Alright, Nope is out exploring. Maybe Nope will scout Chipmunk, maybe not. Maybe he doesn't need to scout him. Maybe he just focuses on his own build, gets up quickly, and just assumes that Chipmunk goes Tower Brush. And if he doesn't, then he can just go to Chipmunk's base and just kill Chipmunk while he's trying to go Fast Castle. Chipmunk doing a quick wall to, I guess, preserve villager health or something. Yeah, look at that. He lured that boar without getting hurt. That's impressive. Look at all these palisade foundations being deleted. Chipmunk showing us his moves with that flawless boar lure. Alright, so the king is wandering around. He's scouting out some stuff. Oasis has a lot of extra sheep, but I'm surprised that we haven't seen more Britons chosen on Oasis. It seems like they're kind of a forgotten civ. Nobody really picks them anymore. Nope, bringing in his boar. He's got another one here, all ready to go. Yeah, okay. Chipmunk is bringing in his second boar right now. So, why Ethiopians? Why would Nope want Ethiopians on this map? Well, actually, I think this is a favorable civ matchup for Nope if he plays it right. The reason that I say that is because, ooh, look at this. It's a pretty easy. Imagine just having a villager up here and just trapping this king. Now, that would be pretty funny. So Teutons are an absolute powerhouse, right? Late game, the Teutons could boom up. They could wall. They've got a really scary siege and infantry crawl. So you don't want to mess with Teutons. But Teutons do have a weakness. And that weakness is fast style Imperial Age into Arbalisters. Like there's this power spike where at the very beginning of Imperial Age, unlike an archer civilization, the Teutons can actually struggle. And that might be what Nope is doing, or Nope is going to pressure with Ethiopian archers in Feudal Age. But there's kind of gaps in the Teuton power curve, and one is Feudal Age, like late Feudal Age when the ball of archers gets pretty big, and the other is early Imperial Age. So either of those times would be a good time for Nope to hit Chipmunk. Now, we see that Chipmunk has gone to stone again, and I don't think Nope knows anything about that. Nope has not scouted Chipmunk's base at all. Chipmunk is kind of loitering around up here. He's getting ready to make a move. Nope has sent a preemptive villager out here, maybe to help wall things off. It's tough to really wall your opponent out when they start with a petard. But we can see that Nope has staged his petard here so that he can injure some villagers and maybe destroy a tower foundation. So, Nope did learn from last time. The question is, did Nope invest enough? And so surely Nope should... No! Nope! No! He uses the petard to injure the king. No, you can't kill the king. You cannot kill the king with a petard. He has too much health. That would actually be very interesting if you could. But again, same strategy. And Nope going after the king instead, which I think is a mistake. But he needs to pull this villager back and get ready to heal. He might be able to kill a villager. Yeah, he does manage to kill a villager. But Nope needs to get his repairman in place, and all he's got to do is just repair this, because this is a huge investment, right? If he could get like 2, maybe 3 villagers in here, garrison a couple for some extra arrows, and then ungarrison them, and get repairs underway on the palisade. If Nope could do that, he would be well ahead of Chipmunk, right? Because Chipmunk has sent like 10 villagers over here. But instead, Nope is like chasing the king, which is... This is fool's gold right here. Chipmunk is intentionally doing this to get Nope to waste time. So now Nope needs to make sure that Chipmunk doesn't get... Yeah, the two towers are tough. Because the towers sort of protect each other. So now the goal for Chipmunk will be to get fletching so that he can shoot the villager, and I think it's GG. Nope just did not... He does not respect this strategy enough. You know, he thought, oh, I'll make 2 militia, and I'll send a villager over here, and I'll repair it, and it'll be fine. But nope, not enough. He does have a man-at-arms working here, and it looks like Chipmunk is sort of greedily attacking the fortified tower instead. But yeah, you should see Teutons and be like, okay, my opponent is up to no good. And with Oasis, you know, it really would not have been that hard to wall this off, or maybe save your Petard for destroying a tower foundation. But with that, Chipmunk takes the second game. Nope, only sending 2 more villagers. That's it. To help out later. Meanwhile, Chipmunk was in this for probably like 10 villagers. So, pretty decisive win from Chipmunk here over Nope. Nope, not quite figuring out how to counter the 2-tower strategy yet. So, Chipmunk may catch a lot of people off guard with that. I don't recall seeing many of his other games. Maybe I have casted some other games where Chipmunk has done the 2-tower strategy. But if you invent a strategy, right, and it takes people a little while to figure out how to counter it, that can work out really well for you. Alright, so now we're going to cast Shikso versus Von Dutch. So the first game is on Arena. Alright, so, again, guys, really silly settings, but that's okay. That's part of the fun. It's trying out the silly settings. Okay, let me just talk about the players. So, the map of the round for round 3 was Arena, and then they took turns discarding maps until only Gold Rush remained, and that's what they played for the second game. Shikso randoming all of these, Von Dutch randoming all of these. I guess they just don't care about the civilizations. So whatever. So we have the choice of seeing Japanese, Huns, and Sicilians for Shikso, and Von Dutch could be Georgians, Romans, or Malay. Alright. Well, I'm really looking forward to spectating this. Both of these guys are my friends. Well, they're all my friends, really, but OS has been very supportive for us. Okay. So we got Von Dutch playing as the Red Romans, and we have Shikso playing as the Blue Sicilians. Shikso finding his sheep and sending his sheep home. He's got some other sheep that he's starting out with. It's kind of classic style arena map. You know, the sheep are sort of far away. Von Dutch working on him. I don't know what he's doing, though. I guess he's going to send him in. And Von Dutch hasn't found his sheep over here on the tower yet. So that's the other thing I want to show you guys, is your tower is kind of in the forest for this version of Arena. I thought about, you know, like having the bigger clearing as kind of standard for Arena and putting the tower in the clearing, but I didn't want people just, you know, because Arena is so heavily fast castle into unique unit. I didn't want somebody just coming out and castle dropping the tower and then winning, you know, because then it's just like whoever has Sicilians or Spanish or the better castle dropping civilization wins. So I believe that this should be on the most recent version of Arena. There was originally, in the first version, we accidentally had 2 sets of stone walls, so you couldn't petard your way in. Now you kind of can. And let's see if Shikso is, or Von Dutch has found his sheep yet. He has not, so they're still there. And Shikso's sheep have gotten stuck, so these guys are going to get hungry, I think, pretty soon. They might go out to boar quickly. Shikso going out for a lumber camp now. I like the Sicilians' choice, right? Shikso might be thinking, I could potentially build a donjon here, or I could potentially donjon rush my opponent. Generally, the way that these games on this map have gone, it's very popular right now for people to for people to go fast imp and make trebuchets and just either destroy this tower with the trebuchet because it can range it, or to cut through and then destroy it. So fast imp into trebuchet is pretty popular. Alright, so Von Dutch going in for the boar lure here. It looks like they have, not that it really matters, but they got the fortified palisade wall. Either way, nobody's Vil rushing it. The arena in the center is pretty small, so it's, you know, it's even though there's walls, it's a lot like the other Million Ways to Die in the Middle Ages maps. So Romans, what do Romans do? Let's kind of theory craft here with the civilizations. They are both the infantry siege crawl, I feel, civilization style, right? They just have different ways of doing it. Romans are all about the legionaries and really late post-imp. I guess Sicilians kind of are too, but Sicilians kind of have this flavor of donjon rush at the same time, and the surgeons can build the donjons. You know, the Sicilians are not really known for their fantastic tech tree at all. Neither are Romans, really. But Romans do have really good scorpions. So they've got, I think, better siege support for their infantry crawl. Siege and tower support for their infantry crawl. Whereas, well, Sicilians have better tower support. Romans have better siege support. But it's still kind of, it's interesting. Are they particularly good against gunpowder? No, I think both of these civilizations died of gunpowder, but they're very similar in a lot of ways. Is Shikso trying to goad this Petard into attacking his king? Now, this Petard should be able to break in. What's Von Dutch doing? Yeah, he's trying to goad the Petard into... I don't know why this is so common. So now Shikso's going to be able to break in on Von Dutch whenever he wants. So I guess he just wanted to move his king in and get the Petard to attack it. So Von Dutch, like as a misclick. So Von Dutch wouldn't be able to break into Shikso's walls. And it looks like Von Dutch found his sheep, and he's going to send them home. So he's on some berries, and he's on his last sheep. He's going to send these sheep home. I don't know if they're going to get there in time, so he might have to chop some stragglers. So Shikso's on one lumber camp, and it looks like a little bit more of a traditional build from Shikso. But Von Dutch is doing the 2 lumber camp thing. Looks a little bit later. Like, it looks more FC-like for Von Dutch than for Shikso. Von Dutch doing the secondary wall behind his primary wall. I would actually build that back here. The secondary wall is not really going to help Von Dutch secure this gold any better. So he might as well give away this land. And then if you build your secondary wall further away from this outer wall, then your opponent can't see it, and your opponent could try to be a genius and petard his way in, only to be thwarted then. So like right now, Shikso could see this and choose not to spend his petard on this project. But anyway, that's my kind of trifling, limited advice. I don't know if maybe Shikso's an arena clown, or maybe Von Dutch is an arena clown, or maybe not. I don't know. I don't know if he plays it very often. It's very hard for me to critique these players because they're just so much better than I am. So Shikso with the 3 on gold. And let's see. Military economy. Here we go. So 20 and 21 villagers. So they're getting kind of close. Shikso going up to the feudal age quickly. He's playing as the Sicilians. Market and blacksmith. Let's take a look at his resources. I guess maybe in theory he has the resources to go fast castle. But not quite. So he's going to have to keep making some villagers, I guess. Maybe force drops. I guess he's just going to idle his town center until he can click up. There it is. I guess that's not too bad. That's a pretty fast 20 pop FC from Shikso as Sicilians. You think about it, he built 2 villagers in feudal age, so he was clicking up on 20 pop. That's pretty fast. I remember doing like a special Lithuanian 20 pop FC. I don't know what Sicilians get that allow Shikso to do that so efficiently. Sending more villagers now out to wood. Okay, so Shikso desires the lightning fast castle. And Von Dutch is going a little bit more traditional, I think. He's building a market and a stable. He's got a barracks already down here, but he built another one. It's easy to forget this barracks, or maybe this barracks is kind of far away, so you don't really care about it, and you do want your own back at home. But in terms of building prerequisites, you don't need it. So Shikso's on his way up to the castle age. He's about 3/4 of the way there, which is quite impressive. And he's already sending some villagers this way. And I don't know what this is, though. I don't think he's got enough to really do anything. Maybe he's just going to monk rush his opponent? I don't know. He's coming around this way. Doesn't want Von Dutch to spot him, perhaps. It's 5 villagers. I guess we just watch and see. So he's castle age, so he can build stuff now. And what's he going to build? Oh, Von Dutch has made some scouts. And Shikso picked a bad time for a donjon rush. So here come the scouts. No, Shikso! He was surprised by the scouts. He was not expecting his opponent to go scouts. The king is running away. Shikso attempting a gate wall. And Shikso surprised by the scout rush, and Von Dutch takes the first game. So, you know, it's funny. The irony to this is that everybody saw Von Dutch injure this king with his petard, and I was like, no, that's Von Dutch. Why would you do that? Like, that was a terrible decision. How could you injure your king? How could you injure? You know you can't kill the enemy king with your petard, so why bother? Shikso leaving the king here to kind of like just get vision on his opponent. The scouts break out, and the king does not have enough health to make it safely back to his town. So, but if the petard hadn't killed this king, maybe it could have. That's the irony. Scouts from Von Dutch for the win. Von Dutch with a single kill, and it was the enemy king. Alright, let's see what they did for Gold Rush. Alright, so Von Dutch is playing as the Red Georgians, and Shikso is playing as the Blue Huns. So maybe Shikso will be a little bit more careful with his king this time, or maybe not. You know, he's just kind of having fun. Just messing around. He does manage to pick up a sheep here. Again, same king, same petard. Start. The difference is that there's a monument, a tower cracked and ruined, surrounded by some extra bonus gold. And some wolves are here guarding it. So, I don't know whose stone this is. Maybe this is kind of a bug extra stone for Von Dutch. Yeah, I think that's just an extra stone. Or maybe just a neutral stone that's inexplicably close to the gold for some reason. Well, it doesn't really matter. It's not going to affect the game. Chances are if you control this gold here, you don't really need the stone anyway. So, Huns versus Georgians. They're both cavalry civilizations. The Georgians are known for their added defenses. They can build those fortified churches. They spend fewer resources to repair. They have some kind of hill bonus. Let me hover over here and see exactly what it is. Units receive less damage when fighting from higher elevation. So they use the hill bonus even more effectively than the Tatars, I guess. Their cavalry regenerate. And of course, we all know the Huns, right? The Huns are classic Age of Conquerors civilization. Faster working stables, cheaper cavalry archers, more accurate trebuchets. The Huns can do all kinds of things. What is this? Alright, Shikso coming over here. This is a little bit dangerous. And he finds Von Dutch's sheep. And does he decide to be nice? He does. He does not steal them. He doesn't steal them at first. So Shikso better be careful. Sees a couple of houses, so he should have a good idea that his opponent is here. In this situation, I like to scout my opponent's base with the sheep. So, but Shikso deciding, nah, I'm just going to scout this monument area with the king. It's safer. Because we've seen Shikso's king die. So he's being a little bit more careful with it this time. Alright, we got the petard coming forward. And Shikso picks up the monument, because why not? You know, it's a free countdown, and you could win that way. They've got the stone walls. Oh, okay. Shikso has prepared some man-at-arms. Some militia, I'm sorry. So Shikso coming over here for a drush. And I'm wondering if he's going to do drush fast castle. He's on the boar. He's pushing in some deer with his king. He's going on to gold now. And he's on his way up to the feudal age. So it looks like it's going to be 4 man-at-arms plus a petard. So here is Shikso's revenge. He's kind of got an idea of where his opponent is. But it's not actually going to be scouts. So this is fun. Who knows what your opponent's base looks like, right? But it should be early enough and fast enough that it will be a good challenge for Von Dutch. Von Dutch's town center is right here. And the king is going to come along for some scouting information, I guess. Just got to be careful not to lose him. Oh. Alright, so Shikso sees the town center. He should know. Still in Dark Age. Finds the wood line. Okay, okay. Takes Von Dutch off of berries. And I guess he's just getting warmed up on this mill here. Because he's not feudal age yet. He spent a lot on these militia. He could potentially use the petard to finish destroying a building. But not this one. Seems like he's got a decent start on this mill. He doesn't need help with this. Okay, so he scouts the archery range from Von Dutch. So he knows what Von Dutch is up to. Von Dutch is going to make archers to counter the militia. And that's very logical, right? It's kind of the obvious choice. It's better than Shikso's going to try to goad Von Dutch into attacking his king. Oh no, Shikso able to get in here and take Von Dutch off of the wood. Now, with the Georgians, they have the mule cart. So they can just kind of relocate their wood line. They don't have to spend another free 100. They don't have to spend another 100 wood to build a new lumber camp. They can just move the mule cart to wherever they need, which is kind of overpowered. So we got 7 units here. We got the King Scout, we got the Petard, and we got 5 militia. And what is Von Dutch doing? Von Dutch has an archery range, and he's made a couple of skirmishers. And he's headed over this way. He's got his petard, and it looks like he's going to try to villager rush the tower? What? Oh, surely that won't work. Sending another villager. Sending more villagers. I think Shikso sees this. The king is here and taking free shots from the tower. And Von Dutch is going to build a tower of his own. Shikso has made another militia to help fight this off. He needs to just kind of try to fight underneath the tower. But Shikso's trying to pick off as many of these villagers arriving as possible. He's fighting underneath the tower. No, Shikso, no. He's fighting in too many places, actually. If he can trap the king, he could actually kill the king. Maybe that's kind of part of the reason why the king is here. Shikso sending his entire town to fight this too. Here's Von Dutch's king chaotically trying to escape. I think the bait did work, though. I think Shikso spent a lot of time and effort going after this king. Shikso has sent villagers to aid the tower. And this petard doesn't quite make it to Von Dutch's tower. Blows up a wall segment instead. And we have a massive brawl between Von Dutch And Shikso and Gaia, apparently the wolf wants in on the action too. I think Shikso should garrison his fortified tower to get some extra attack out of it. But there's a lot of villager micro happening right now. And, yeah, I mean, all of Shikso's man-at-arms are here. Okay, so Shikso is active in his own town. He didn't send everything. But this is quite the brawl. Now, what happened to Shikso's king? I don't even know. I mean, Shikso's losing villagers, but Von Dutch is also losing villagers. It's extremely chaotic, and okay, so Von Dutch has managed to wall a villager into this with stone walls, and he's just attacking the base of the fortified tower. So that's super annoying. So basically, Shikso's going to have to come back here and repair this. Oh, Von Dutch deleting it so he can send more villagers to cheese the tower. Well, I don't know about that. Shikso's got a lot of army here. That may not work. Alright, Von Dutch manages to get another villager in. And he's sending some more, but they can't quite reach because there's not enough space. And Von Dutch is all in. I mean, look at this. There's nobody left in his town. It's just his king standing there kind of looking out over this wood line, inspecting it. And Shikso must feel pretty good right now, right? I mean, that his opponent is literally all in on this. He's even sent the mule cart to fight. And so Shikso, I don't know, he knows that his opponent's all in on it. All he's got to do is send his militia around. Von Dutch just has these villagers left. I mean, he's got some villagers here. He'll just repair his tower, right? But Von Dutch quick walling here. Shikso deleting the wall so he can get in. But Von Dutch building another quick wall, and he's basically built himself another little box. And he's walled his villagers in. Shikso might be in a little bit of trouble. I mean, I think he might be able to delete this here, but it looks like Von Dutch has also built a wall. Behind this fortified tower. So Shikso should build a tower of his own to protect the base of his fortified tower. Yeah, Shikso just deleting everything. He's like, I can't believe this guy. What on earth? But now he sees that Von Dutch has managed to wall everywhere. And I think Shikso's kind of very surprised. I know I am. Okay, he is able to send some villagers in. Von Dutch using the mule cart to block. So only one villager is able to get in there, and Shikso calls the GG. 43 health left on the fortified tower. All he had to do was build a tower within range, but he didn't realize that Von Dutch had walled in this entire space. So Von Dutch winning this game with 8 villagers. 8 villagers remaining. Quite a crazy all-in play. I'm wondering why the Georgians pick, though. Maybe Von Dutch figured that Georgians spend fewer resources on repairing, so he could repair his tower more effectively. Maybe it was his plan all along to use this mule cart to block enemy villagers and absorb arrow fire and such. But GG, well played. Von Dutch with a little bit of an upset. The first game, Shikso was surprised by the scouts and lost his king. Maybe he forgot that his king was injured by the petard. And then the second game, Von Dutch somehow managed to wall Shikso's tower in with his villagers and then delete it, which is pretty impressive. Because I think maybe, again, Shikso sort of underestimating what Von Dutch was up to here and the potency of the strategy. So, GG's, many thanks to the players. I don't know if they actually played the map at all, really. They could have just done this on Arabia, but that is how it goes, right? It's about all of the different win conditions and what people come up with in order to achieve their wins. So earlier in the set, we saw that Chipmunk had developed a pretty effective 2-tower strategy with tower rushing civilizations. And then Von Dutch showing us a different interpretation, which is walling the villagers into the fortified tower. Even though Shikso had a bunch of stuff nearby, Shikso kind of, I mean, he built a mill and he built farms, for crying out loud. Like he was sure that he had it in the bag because of how much Von Dutch was losing. But Von Dutch managing to come and sweep in and capture the win in the end. So pretty entertaining for us. Hopefully Shikso wasn't too upset by it. Alright, so let's see. I think that's going to be everything that I have for you today. Yeah, look at this Von Dutch with 19 kills, 19 deaths. Shikso with the proper Age of Empires 2 economy, and he did the drush, and he got his opponent on the defensive, and he was everywhere, but he just underestimated the potency of what Von Dutch was planning. And look at this. Von Dutch was the winner in the end, but that's how a lot of these sudden death and multiple victory condition type tournaments go. Alright, so guys, I really appreciate you tuning in with me tonight. Watch some Alchemy League, 4 kind of quickish games. But that's okay. They were also really entertaining games too. So guys, I will catch you probably next Sunday for some more casts. Thank you so much, and I am looking forward to seeing you again soon.